Hey everybody, and welcome back to Life with Lolo. It is Tuesday and it's time for another weekly recap of Greenleaf. This is season 5, episode 7, and it was titled The Seventh Day. Alright y'all, this is the second to last episode. Next week is the series finale. I am kind of sad, one, because we're only getting 8 episodes. I feel like they're gypping us, but I'm sure it was because Rona got in the way and they probably weren't able to film like the last 2 episodes. So we're getting 8. And maybe that's why this week's episode was kind of rushed. It seemed like, to me, it was rushed. It seemed like they compiled a lot of stuff in this one episode. And I'm not too sure how I really feel about the episode. But let's just jump into it. So it opens up with a car and it's headed over to the Memphis police impound or whatever. And we see Grace and Darius come out. So I was like, oh, praise God. They did not kill Darius off. They just had him locked up. So she was like, so was that the car that you was driving while you was under the influence of PCP? And he was like, yeah, but don't forget, I was resisting arrest too. You know, I had karate chopped him or kung fu'd him or some shit he said. So then she was just like, I cannot believe this. So they walked to the car and he was thanking her for bailing him out and stuff like that. And she was like, you know, don't worry, because he said he was going to pay her back. And she was like, no worries, like, you already lost your job, you know, trying to fight and, you know, help us with this church stuff. And he was like, yeah, all right, well, thank you, but I'll see you later, whatever. And she was like, well, where you headed to? And then he said he was going to go interview the people who Bob had took their house and stuff like that. And because that's where he was supposed to go to anyway. That's probably where he got how he got locked up or whatever. So she was like, okay, yeah. She was like, well, I got to go meet with Aaron so we can stop this demolition. He was like, the demolition ain't take place yet. And I was like, okay. But she was like, no, it's going to take place at 2:00 in the evening or whatever. So he was like, okay, well, what you find out? And she was like, well, Aaron has some paperwork. They think that some fraudulent documentation was going on that they didn't disclose that they was part of H&H, so we may be able to stop them that way. So he was like, oh, okay, well, we both got some stuff to do. We'll talk to you later. Deuces. So then the next scene, we see Bishop. He bringing a tray up to the room because May is in the bed and stuff like that. She probably sad because, you know, they about to tear down the church or whatever like that. But Bishop is like, I'm not going to let that get me down. Rise and shine. This is a day to celebrate and stuff like that. And she was like, what is you up to? What have you lost your mind or whatever? And he was like, no, it's a day of celebration. Let's celebrate. Let's get up. Let's do this. So May takes the top off the tray or whatever. I thought it was going to be some breakfast child. But it wasn't. It was a ring box. So she was like, what is this? So she opened up the ring box and he was like, look, I know you said we're going to wait till Flag Day, but I was hoping that this ring would spark something in you to, you know, kind of push it up to be today. Like you could say, I do. What do you say? I love you. You could say yes. Like you could say all these things or whatever like that. And I guess it was like the original engagement ring that he gave her or whatever, because she was just smiling and putting the ring on and stuff. And she was like, well, James. And he was like, well, that wasn't one of the options. And she was like, look, I would love to, but we got to be on the same page when it comes down to this Rochelle and Tara thing. And he was like, oh, God, here we go with this again. Like, no, I already told you I'm not giving up the house. And she was like, all right, well, look, we can sell a piece of land and give that and sell it for 10 million or something, she said, and then give it to Rochelle and Tara. He was like, no, I'm not doing that, because if I do that, that's going to be me admitting that I was guilty, and I'm not guilty. Like, I'm not doing that or whatever like that. And she was like, well, I can't go forward because I need to start this new church free and clear and not under no scandals and stuff like that. So she was like, well, we not on the same page, so we gonna get married on Flag Day. And like, legit, in that scene, I knew something was going to happen later on to Bishop. I knew something was going to happen later on to Bishop from that scene alone. And I was like, oh my God, May, what did you just do? But at any rate, next scene we see Zora. She talking to Jacob about New York. He really like ignoring her. He preoccupied. He don't want to hear what she got to say and stuff. And she like, well, look, I got my ticket. Did you talk to Mom about me moving to Hoboken or whatever like that? I mean, that disgusts me saying that off my tongue, but I'm willing to do that. He was like, no, we ain't talk about it. She was like, well, look, look, here go the studio apartment right here. It's too small for me to have a boy over or whatever. So, like, yes, no, because my flight leave tonight. And he was like, look, just cancel the flight. She was like, no, I'm not canceling the flight. He was like, look, just cancel the flight. We'll talk about it later or whatever. So she leaves or whatever. Then we see AJ, he in the house, he's talking to Bishop, and Bishop was like, oh, you're here for the car. And he was like, yeah, or whatever. And Bishop was saying like he'll meet him down later or whatever, because because AJ was asking him how he felt, and he was like, I feel fine no matter what's going on. I'm not worried about what's going on with Rochelle and all them, what's going on at that church, or what my crazy wife doing. I'm not worried about all that. We're gonna put this car together. I'm gonna be down there to meet you later on. So he was like, okay. Child, next we see Skeletor. She doing the most as usual. They down there at the church, the demolition people walking around and stuff like that. It's the lawyer, Phil, and Skeletor. They standing around. They like, oh, what's going on? Why is we standing here? Like, why are we not demolishing anything? Like, what's popping? And Phil was like, well, Bob wants to do some announcement later on or whatever. And Skeletor was like, oh yeah, that I forgot about that. And then at the same time, Grace and Aaron are walking up, and Grace is like, well, it won't be no demolition popping off over here because I got this paperwork saying that y'all didn't disclose that y'all was H&H and stuff like that. And so the lawyer was like, oh yeah, they knew that we was H&H. And she was like, oh no, how did you what did he say? She said something like, oh, really? Did they really know? Or something like that. And he was like, yeah, Clarissa knew all about it or whatever like that. He was being so nasty. Like, he was being nasty with it. Like, she knew up and down, in and out, like round and round, she knew. So Grace, like, bucked at him and stuff like that. And they pulled him away. But she was trying to do like a cease and desist, basically. But it couldn't go down. And so Aaron was like, do you think this is true? And Grace was like, no, Jacob didn't know. She was like, Jacob didn't know, but I'm going to call him or whatever like that. And I'm thinking, yeah, Jacob ain't know, but Clarissa ass show did know. And she was like, well, you want me to sign right here? Right. And Jacob was right there beside him. Okay. All dumb. But anyway, we see Jacob. She calling, not Jacob. We see Grace. She calling Jacob. And he think that Clarissa ain't know nothing. He like, well, I don't think she knew anything about it, but I'll call her and stuff like that. So then they hang up. And then Noah runs up and he's like, look, I found the caretaker or whatever like that. I said, what? He's still alive? But anyway, because I keep trying to think, like, I don't know why in my head I keep thinking like it was back in like, I don't know, like the 1900s or something like that when this house was given up. But it probably was like not even a few years ago, but maybe like 20 years ago, 20, 30 years ago when this house was given up. Because it's just the way they talking. But back then and shit, now today they still calling black people Negroes and all that other bullshit. So yeah, I don't know why it just keeps clicking in my head like, wasn't that like, but yeah, I guess he could still be alive. But at any rate, we see Tara. She at the dining room table with May, and May is like, look, what she was saying, I guess she showed her like, we gonna sell this stuff, because we didn't see what she was talking about before, but I guess she showed her on the iPad like this is what the deal is and stuff like that, because Tara was like, well, the bishop signed off on this, and May was like, no, he hasn't signed off. And I think, who said something? May said something about Rochelle, and Tara was like, Rochelle is not interested in the money or whatever like that. She wants this house. Like, no, she don't want this house. She wants him to tell the truth that he and Mac or whoever killed my father or whatever like that. And she was saying like Rochelle's not going to be satisfied until Bishop says this publicly, that that they murder her father or whatever like that. And May was like, well, no, that's never going to happen. Like, y'all take this deal or y'all don't take no deal at all. And Tara was like, well, I guess we don't have no deal going on because this was my father. Like, my father is dead. Like, my father not living no more. Like, this is supposed to be my house. Like, this is the house that we supposed to get or whatever. And because according to that will. And May was just like, well, then I guess I ain't budget. We ain't got no deal then. Bounce, little girl. Like, she say it like that. But basically, she closed that iPad cover and was like, well, we ain't got no deal. Then we see Jacob. He calls Clarissa, child. Clarissa at the playground with little Mickey or Mookie or what's the baby name? Minky, Mink, whatever they call that child. But they at the playground, they playing, and Clarissa answered the phone and stuff like that, and she all shocked, like he can't call her, like, bitch, y'all not really divorced yet, and y'all got kids together, like, get over yourself. But at any rate, he asked her, like, what's going on with this HOH? Like, did you know that, because he was like, well, did you know that H&H was owning the church or whatever? And she got, like, real quiet, like, well, why? And he was telling her what's going on. And so then he was like, well, did you know? And she got quiet. And he was like, Clarissa, like, for real, like, you knew. And she was like, Jacob. And he was just like, she was like, Jacob, I'm sorry. He was like, good to know. Thank you. And then hung up the phone. So now he know just how dirty his goddamn wife was. Like, grimy dirty. Not only did she give you chlamydia, but then she done sold your goddamn church away. Like, she ain't the one for you. She for the streets. But anyway, we see Bishop. He meets down in the garage or the barn or whatever with AJ in this big box of a car. And so he's down there and there's talking and stuff. And AJ was supposed to have opened up this box before Bishop got down there, but I guess he nervous and stuff like that. So Bishop talking to him and saying, you know, like, you want me to pray for strength for both of us and stuff. And AJ is kind of like, I don't know. He was like, well, dang, I got 2 daughters in the family or whatever. And then they ironically Grace kids. Like, what in the world? Grace, you gotta do better, baby. But anyway, he was trying to, you know, just tell, what's that boy name? AJ, that he can get saved, and you know, God will, it don't take that much for him to get saved, and he can do it right now, and then he can take his soul from the pile of, what did he say? The pile to not be destroyed. He was like, I'm not saying that God be destroying souls or nothing like that, but I'm just saying. And so he was saying he can pray for him and, you know, just say, you know, save him and stuff like that, baptize them and whatnot. And so AJ was like, okay, well, maybe I'll think about it, maybe in the future and stuff like that. So it was like a cute little moment between AJ and Bishop. Then we see Noah and Grace, and they're talking to the caretaker. So the caretaker child, he was like, I just kept trying to figure out why that poor, the poor Negro man would be talking to that white lady like that, all reckless like he was just always yelling at her and stuff, and then he was hitting on her and whatnot, and I would go up there trying to act like I had some work to do so I could just kind of stop it or whatever, and I would say, Miss Loretta, you okay? And she would be like, I'm fine. And he was like, I knew she wasn't fine and stuff. And so Grace and Noah was like, well, do you think they was sleeping together and stuff like that? And he was like, no, like that. And they was like, well, why not? Was it because he was black? Like, he can't, you know, he might like to swirl or whatever. And so he was like, no, like, I can't really, well, I guess I can tell you since she dead and gone now and it don't matter me holding her secret. He was like, that Negro man was her son. I said, what? So, yeah. So Daryl was Loretta's son. So of course Loretta would have left the house for Daryl. So yeah. So Mac must have had Daryl killed for that house when he found out. Because you know Mac was always finding out some secrets and stuff like that. So, but I want to know why he did, like, we need to find out why he did that though. Because it's not adding up for real. But, so that was the big secret, that Daryl is Loretta's son, but we don't know who Daryl Pappy was. We don't know who that is because they didn't say that. And next we see Charity and Bishop. They watching the news, and the news talking about how Bob is going to be running for Senate and how he going to be announcing his Senate, run. And at the demolishing of the church at 2:00. So that's gonna be the big announcement. Charity is upset. She like, are you serious? Like, he doing all this and then he gonna be celebrating and stuff, and then May come in, she all confused, and she like, what's going on? Like, what? And Bishop was like, he running for Senate. And she was like, well, how he gonna take care of church and run for Senate? And Bishop was like, because that's what evil people do or whatever. He's what do you call him? Because he's pure unmitigated evil or something, he said like that. And she was like, now James, now he is not evil. And he was like, yes he is. Now you're taking up for the man. And she was like, no, I'm defending God, because God is the one who made him and made us a free will to change and stuff. And Charity like, look, I'm with daddy here, that man evil as hell. Like, you ain't coming in. And then here come Grace, all with the more bad news, child. She tells them that Daryl was Loretta's son, and they looking like, oh Lord. And Bishop was looking real weird. Like, I was like, he knows something. Like, he knows something, because he was like, who told you that? Like, and whatever. And so Grace was like, the caretaker said that. He was like, I should have known. And I'm like, what in the world? Like, Bishop, it seemed like he knew more than what he said later on at the church. I don't know. But and they were saying like it was a big secret because she had him out of wedlock, and of course it was a bigger secret because she had Daryl by a black man or whatever like that. You know, back in the day, back in the day, it was really frowned upon and stuff like that. So it had to be like this big secret and stuff. And so then Charity was saying she said something. I couldn't make it out, but then she stormed out, and Bishop was like, call Rochelle and Tara and told them to come down here. And May was like, I'm not doing that. He was like, just do it, please do it and trust me or whatever. And I was like, what is he about to say? Like, come on with it. So anyway, we see Zora and Sophia, they're talking or whatever. And Zora is trying to convince Sophia to tell her mom to move, let her move to New York with Zora or whatever like that. And Sophia was like, girl, I'm not doing that. You told my mom about the pics or whatever. And she was like, yeah, I did, but look, come on now, like, it'd be me and you. And she was like, no, the only reason why you want me to move down there is so I can pay half the bills or whatever. And she was like, I mean, yeah. I said, at least she honest. So she was like, she'll think about it or whatever like that. And Zora was like, okay, just really think about it. Be me and you in New York or whatever, in Brooklyn, TV show or whatever. So I'm thinking if they do move to New York, because remember it's supposed to be like some spinoff, so maybe it'll be the children and stuff like that. That would be quite interesting to see. But anyway, we see Rochelle and Tara. They downstairs in there. Maiden called them over. They sitting there or whatever. May tells them what she found out, and she was trying so hard not to say it, because she was like, well, I mean, we gonna have to prove this with a blood test and stuff because we don't really know. And Rochelle was like, yo, just spit it out already. Like, what you call us over here? What's the big emergency and stuff like that? And so she was like, Miss Loretta Davis was your grandmother. And so she was like, we were forced to admit that that was what the first will made. That's why the first will made sense or whatever like that. And so Rochelle was like, oh, you was forced to say something? Oh, well, that's all you got to say or whatever. And Tara, she just want to know who the dad is or whatever. And they like, well, we don't know all that. And so, like I said, Bishop was just acting so strange or whatever. And Rochelle basically was like, I don't want that. Because Tara was, no, what'd she say? Oh, no, because they were saying something like they have to concede the bloodline. Oh, that's what it was. May said that the only reason why they got the house is because it was in the bloodline or whatever. That's why they got the house and stuff like that. And so Bishop said something, and Rochelle was like, oh, given the fact that our father, Bishop was saying, given the fact that your father, and then Rochelle cut him off and was like, was murdered. And then Bishop started going into this thing, and Tara was like, Rochelle, shut up, we got the house. And Rochelle was like, I don't want no damn house. I want the truth. I want to know who killed my daddy. Like, I want to know the truth. And then Jacob come downstairs interrupting them, and then he was saying like, look, Charity sent an email to everybody telling people to come down to the church so they can find out the whole truth about Bob Whitmore and stuff like that. And May was like, well, what's going on? Is it working or whatever like that? We need to go down there. And so he was like, well, she didn't say there's 100 people plus more coming in there and stuff like that. So Bishop was like, look, if you want to know the truth, then, and he was addressing Rochelle. He was like, if you want to know the truth, then you need to come down to the church right now and you'll get the whole truth, the whole God blessed thing or whatever. So then we see Darius, he meeting with Grace or whatever like that, and they're going into the church. And so he was saying like he talked to the family and stuff, and they got the loan, and then they ended up missing a payment, and once they missed that payment, their house and everything was gone and stuff like that. And so he was saying like CBS called him and want to interview him, and since they backed up Mr. Shabazz, I guess he's gonna go on record saying that what's going on is true. So CBS want to run the story, and it looks like Bob's secret is going to come out there. So Grace was happy about that. We see Bob, he in there, and he's spinning the whole story. He like, yeah, I got these loans and stuff for people to help people out and all this other stuff. And, you know, some people had to default on it. And, I mean, that's what happens or whatever. So he's spinning the story. And he was saying, like, what you hear in the news or what you hearing in the rumorville is all paranoia and nonsense and stuff like that. And then Charity popped up and was like, well, if this is all false, then why is, if you was trying to help everybody and this is all false, then why are all the people 100% black or whatever? And he was like, 100% black? Like, where'd you get that information from? And then Grace and Darius walked in and they started dropping the information on what was going on and who was signing up the black people and stuff like that. And Grace was like, well, why did you get this woman, I forgot the mama name, but why did you get the black woman to sign the documents and all this other stuff? And she was like, his mom pointed at Phil. I said, well, damn, she just threw Phil mama underneath the bus. And so Bob was like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I don't even know who this woman is, but if it was a black woman running the stuff, like, I ain't got nothing to, he denied, child. And he was like, you don't know me and all this other stuff. And then Phil got up and was like, but I do know you. And so Bob was like, oh, I'm happy that somebody is setting up, you know, who got my back and stuff like that. And Phil was like, yeah, my mom, I didn't know a lot about my mom and all this other stuff, but on her deathbed, she was worried that God wouldn't forgive her for doing something, and it was something so terrible, she didn't want to tell me about it and stuff, but now I know what it was. And he turned to Bob, and he was like, now I know what it was. And Bob was like, you don't know nothing, you don't know what you're talking about. I said, well, damn. He was like, you don't know what you talking about or whatever like that. And so then Phil go over there to Skeletor and was like, give back my mama ring or whatever. And I'm like, what in the world? So he go over there and she was like, what? The ring? He was like, give back the ring. She was like, oh, okay, I don't want this old stupid ass ring. And so she dropped the ring. She didn't say stupid ass, but she did say stupid ring. But she dropped the ring and stuff. So the ring go rolling on the floor. I said, oh, she ignorant. Ugh. Oh, I can't stand that lady. But then Bob is like, look, let's get on with this, because I got a press conference at 2 and we about to demolish this goddamn church. So we need to hurry this up. Like, y'all got any more questions and stuff like that? So we see Phil, he picking up the ring off the ground, child. And so Charity over there looking at her, man, like, she looking all sad. I said, Charity, don't you do it. Don't you, girl, don't you do it. And so when Bob was trying to rush it or whatever like that, in come, because he was saying something about Bishop and May and them ruined the church or something like that. And then in walks Bishop and was like, I sure did take advantage of you. It was wrong. It was sin. And then he was saying like, he said something to Bob, like, I told you I wouldn't let you tear this down. And then he got up there on the stage, because the pulpit, it wasn't no pulpit there, but not a pulpit, not a pulpit, what's the damn thing? A podium. It wasn't a podium there. He was just up on the stage or whatever. And then he was saying like the house that he got was given to him by Loretta, and with that house he got a loan, and with the loan he built a church. And so he was saying like he should have knew what was going on with Daryl James or whatever like that, but he didn't. His mind was clouded and stuff like that. But he said he should have known, but he didn't. But it was like a mist and stuff. And then he realized that once Daryl died, that something wasn't right, but he still couldn't figure it out. But he didn't want to go deeper into it. He wanted to keep building and succeeding his empire and stuff like that, basically. And so he was saying like he let little sins go so he could succeed and stuff. So basically he was just saying like his vision was clouded by success. So if something bad happened, he didn't really worry about it too much, because he was too busy climbing the ladder and ignoring other stuff that could have basically been fixed back then, but he was ignoring it because he was succeeding and stuff like that. So he was saying like he was being seduced by the demon and stuff like that, and everybody paid a price. His family paid a price. We saw Grace, she was crying. He apologizes to the whole congregation and stuff like that. And then he said he wanted to show them how to succeed as best as possible, but he don't feel like he did that right or whatever. And then Corinne, she popped up and was like, but you did that, Bishop. And what happened? And then they said amen. And then Phil finally grew some balls, some real big ones. And then he was telling Bob that he should go. And so Bob was looking like, for real? But he went over there to Skeletor and the crew. And he was just like, oh, maybe we should go or whatever like that. And Bishop turned to Bob and was like, I told you your days are numbered. And then Charity started singing Amazing Grace. And then Bob was looking over at everybody because the whole family got on the stage and stuff like that. And then him, Skeletor, and the lawyer, they left and was like, let's get on up out of here. Rochelle was standing there the whole time because Rochelle and Terry was there through the whole thing. And Rochelle the whole time was looking like, is you serious with this shit? That's how she was looking like, you made me come down here. And I'm standing here in these shoes. My feet hurting. And this all you got to say. You ain't said that you... I wanted you to say you killed my daddy. But you ain't say that. That's what her face said. She ain't say nothing. But her face was looking like... this could have been an email. Like, that's how her face was looking. But at any rate, Bob and them leave or whatever. Then we see Rochelle. She leaving the church. Grace comes out after her and asks her, is she done and is she happy? And Rochelle like, no, I ain't happy. Like, all I wanted was... and Grace was like, well, the house is yours. And Rochelle was like, I didn't ever want no house. I wanted to know the truth about what happened to my daddy. And now I know the truth or whatever. I mean, it is what it is. If that's the truth, that's the truth. And so then Grace was like, well, thank you for AJ or whatever. And she was like, what you talking about? She was like giving him Noah's phone number or whatever. And I forgot what Grace said, but Rochelle was like, what'd she say? Rochelle was like, well, God uses anybody, even a sinner like me. And then she walks out the door. And when she walked out the door, next we see like it looked like this is glowing or something like that. And then next we see not Grace, Charity. She walking through the church halls and she's smiling and stuff like that. Here come Phil running up behind her like a lost puppy and talking about something. Charity, can we talk for a second? Can we talk? And she like, for what? He was like, well, I want to know if we could talk tomorrow. I said, Negro, is you serious right now? Because you done dumped little Skeletor. You thought that... Let me tell y'all what he said next, child. He gonna say he tells her that she didn't deserve that from him and that he loves her or whatever. I said, boy, bye. And I was just like, Charity, you better not go back to this man. But she surprised me and she held her own and I was proud of her. She said, Phil, look, no one, not even the father of my child, has broke my heart the way you did. I don't trust you again to have it back. She was like, that was good what you did back there at the church, but nope, never again. And then she walked away smiling. I said, Charity, you better play him, okay? I said, this Negro got his whole entire nerve. Whole entire nerve, child. Oh my God. I was so happy because I was so scared she was going to take that man back. I was so scared. But she surprised me and I was proud of her. Then we see, I guess, what was it? Darius was talking to Grace and he was saying like, CBS is making a scam public and stuff like that. Bob is stepping down from H&H and from the Senate or whatever like that. Grace feeling good. She's still in disbelief or whatever like that. She grabbed his hand and said, thank you, child. They was tonguing down. I said, you better get you some. But he was like, we could take this to my place. And she was like, oh yeah, I would, but I gotta go talk to Sophia about something or whatever. So we're going to do a little rain check. And he was like, okay, yeah. See you tomorrow, girl, like that. And so we see Zora, she packing. We see Sophia, she pacing back and forth. And her mom come in and then she doing like some little small talk, you know, whatever. And then she tells her like, Mom, I know sending those pics to Dante was wrong and I'll never do it again. Child, Grace was like, what pics? I said, oh, Zora played her. She ain't never tell her mama. Oh, you done told on yourself. That shit was funny to me because Sophia stayed snitching on somebody so she could total herself. And then we see May. So May, child, she getting all sexy. She got on her little sexy lingerie. She putting the smell good lotion on her titties. And then she even sprayed some smell good spray. I said, girl, your titties is he gonna be like, Cause all that perfume and lotion. But anyway, she getting all sexy for her man. And we see Bishop on the bed, child. And he just sitting there. And the way he was sitting was like, something ain't right. I honestly thought he had died sitting up, and I was like, is that even possible? Can you like die sitting up like that with nothing holding your back up or whatever? But he wasn't dead. She was like, she came up behind him and was like, Bishop, I know we said we was gonna wait till Flag Day, but I want to get married to you today. And she was like kissing him and stuff, and he wasn't moving or responding or anything like that. That's what made me really think like, is he dead? But then I saw his eyes blinking. I said, okay, he's not dead. And so then she looked and was like, oh my God, what's wrong? What's wrong? And I was like, he having a stroke, he having a heart attack, like what a seizure, like what is going on with this man? Because his eye was like blinking, but he could still like shake and try to write, but he couldn't talk or nothing like that. So I was like, is he having a stroke? Like what is going on? So she was like, oh my God, I need to call 911. So then he was just like, he wanted a pen. I'm like, mate, call 911. He can get a pen later. So she called 911 and then she gave him the pen. I said, good. And so he writing like I do. And I was like, well, how he still writing? But whatever. Semantics. So anyway, he was like, he do. And she was like, I do too. And then she started crying and she started kissing him. And then he fell back. And then she was like hugging him and kissing him and stuff like that. And she was saying she loved him and all this stuff. And then he died. It looked like he really died or whatever like that. Because he just stopped moving. His eyes wasn't twitching no more. And like he was gone. I said, oh my God, so Bishop is dead this time, for real. Because remember last time, it looked like he was going to die, but then he just had like a heart attack. And then, because you know how the next episode came on, and then it was like looking like it was a funeral, but it really wasn't. Or it wasn't even the next episode. It was the same episode, but like a month or so later. But anyway, this time, it looked like he really did. So I was just like, oh my God. Because then May, we heard her just crying as the credits was rolling. So I said, oh my God. I'm telling y'all, when he was asking her that morning to marry him, I knew something was going to happen to him. And I knew that she was going to regret not saying yes and then they could get married. I knew that was going to happen once they showed that scene earlier in the day or whatever like that. So I was just like, oh my God, they done finally got everything that they wanted and hoped for and stuff like that. You know, it seemed like they're getting the church back. It seemed like they're getting their family back in order. Like all these things happening, and now Bishop gone. I said, oh my God. Y'all let me know what y'all felt about the episode. Like I said, next week is the series finale. I'm sad, y'all. But yeah, next week is the series finale. But at any rate, y'all let me know what y'all thought about this episode. If y'all like this recap, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button and hit the subscription button if you're not subscribed to my channel already, and also hit that notification bell to be notified when I drop new videos. All right, y'all. Until next time, peace. Oh, look, my finger all flicked it. Peace.